Hello and welcome to our discussion of the case study Vandelay Industries. Vandelay Industries is a $8 billion manufacturing company facing fierce competition from overseas rivals. Vandelay Industries is going to implement Enterprise Resource Planning (ERP) software. Vandelay Industries has selected R/3 software system from SAP AG, the leading ERP vendor. Vandelay Industries has planned to install ERP software at all 14 of its facilities. The budgeted cost of this ERP implementation project was $20 million. Vandelay Industries has hired Deloitte & Touche Consulting Group ICS to assist with the technical details of installing R/3 software, and to guide the significant organizational and operational changes that would be part of the ERP implementation. Elaine Kramer, a consultant with Deloitte & Touche Consulting Group ICS, has been assigned to lead this project. R/3 software will replace a patchwork of incompatible manufacturing and order fulfillment software systems, which often did not interoperate effectively. R/3 was to be a single, company-wide platform incorporating accounting and financial information, MRP, materials management, order fulfillment, and all other major information system tasks. SAP, Deloitte, and Vandelay Industries believe that only some of the benefits of R/3 will be achieved from software integration provided by R/2. To gain most of the benefits of ERP software, Vandelay Industries would require attendant changes to their business practices. Vandelay intended to standardize on best practices of R/3 software across all of its sites. The main task of Deloitte was to work with project teams to define these best practices and then put them in place. Kramer and Deloitte used technology-enabled business process redesign. That was a method of defining new operational practices that leverage the capabilities of the R/3 software. Kramer and Deloitte felt that this method produced faster and more reliable results than clean sheet redesign method. Clean sheet redesign is the method of rethinking existing businesses from the ground up. Kramer knew she would have to resolve tensions between the implementation team and the traditionally autonomous plants. After that, she could determine the needed degree of standardization of the processes and to start effecting change as quickly as possible. Following are the teaching objectives of this case study. 1. To familiarize students with ERP systems. 2. To discuss the differences between IT-led improvement and improvement-led IT. 3. To highlight how IT can impact learning and innovation. 4. To reveal other firm-level and industry-level issues surrounding ERP usage. The analysis of the case is broken into 4 sections. 1. Salient technical aspects of ERP and R/3 for managers. 2. Project management considerations for Deloitte and Vandelay. 3. Approaches to process standardization and best practices. 4. Competitive implications of widespread ERP adoption, advantages of R/3. Figure 1 in the case shows how quickly R/3 has been adopted since its introduction in 1992. This was partly because the system offered compelling advantages over the IT solutions that it replaced. Use of existing computers. Before ERP, most large businesses used separate systems for production control, accounting, order fulfillment, and other important tasks. Maintenance. Troubleshooting was time-consuming and expensive in this environment. It was also difficult to establish reliable interfaces among different software packages. It was also difficult to extract information in anything except pre-specified formats. R/3 used the desktop computers and client-server architectures that many companies were installing during the early 90s. It was not necessary to use a separate mainframe terminal system for production tasks. Single database. All R/3 data was stored in a single, fully integrated database. As a result, Communication among computer systems of different organizational functions was no longer an issue. Double postings and reconciliations, for example between manufacturing and financials, were no longer necessary. A single database also made data extraction and flexible reporting much easier. Seamless integration. All R/3 modules could interact seamlessly and in real time. All components of R/3 were written and tested together. As a result, the R/3 software was truly integrated. Consistent user interface. R/3 presented a consistent user interface, UI, and a common look and feel across all of its modules. This made it easier to learn, and easier for people to change jobs or tasks. Process-oriented software. The R/3 software was oriented around processes, instead of functions. As Figure 2 in the case shows, most business processes involve several functional areas of the organization. Prior to ERP systems, it would be necessary to access each function's information system in turn to complete the process. With R/3, these multiple handoffs were eliminated. Savings. R/3 software used common hardware, software, databases, and interfaces. As a result, a company using R/3 did not have to maintain proficiency or capabilities in several different software packages. Savings from this type of standardization could be substantial. One-stop shop. SAP offered one-stop shopping for much of the IT functionality that customers required. Companies often preferred to deal with a single vendor. Drawbacks of R/3. Inward-facing software. R/3 was inward-facing software. It was intended to be used only within a single company. R/3 software did not provide ample and easy support for collaborative production via joint ventures, partnerships, networks, etc. Closed programming standard. R/3 software is based on a closed programming standard. R/3 was written in a proprietary ABAP/4 language. It was difficult to modify or extend. If SAP was written in a more open programming language, such as C or C++, it would have been much easier for other companies to extend R/3's functionality. With a closed standard, modifications are more difficult and happen more slowly. Not e-commerce ready. R/3 was introduced before the explosion of software programs that were based on Internet protocols. As a result, R/3 was not ready to work with these software. R/3 software was based on a closed standard and intended to be inward-facing. As such, it did not readily accommodate many forms of electric commerce. Most of e-commerce saw major growth only after R/3 was launched in 1992. Push-based model of production. The R/3 software assumed classical push-based model of production. R/3 software had features which allowed it to be used for pull-based manufacturing. However, R/3 still relied on classical techniques of scheduling, material replenishment, and order management. Companies that had fully implemented some form of JIT, for example Toyota, found it difficult to work around many R/3 functions. System configuration. The case describes R/3 configuration via switch setting. Such configuration was very time-consuming. In addition, there were a huge number of possible interactions among all possible settings. So it was very difficult to know the full impact of each setting. Expensive. Many companies and studies found that client-server computing is actually more expensive than the mainframe terminal computing. Businesses could find themselves paying more for IT support after installing R/3 software. Use of consultants. Most companies, like Vandelay, use consultants heavily during ERP implementations. There are two main reasons for this. The first reason was that the process of installing R/3, configuring it, and converting over from previous systems is highly complicated and demands deep technical expertise. SAP specialists are almost always required for these activities. Second reason was that the firms typically use ERP implementation to make large-scale changes in both organization structure and business practices. ERP has become the environment in which many companies change or engineer their business practices. There are two types of ERP consultants: implementation specialists and re-engineering specialist. Both are required for any ERP implementation project. The case hints at one issue around the use of consultants. The case states on page 8 that over 50% of Deloitte professionals had more than 2 years' experience with SAP products. This means, of course, that about half of them have less than that much experience. R/3 software was so new and so popular. As such, the demand for qualified consultants was much higher than supply. ERP implementations, such as in Vandelay Industries, were staffed with ERP consultants who may be acquiring their expertise while billing for it. The companies, such as Deloitte, may also be training future ERP consultants. Some employees of Vandelay Industries may decide to take their fresh R/3 expertise outside the firm once they realize how valuable it is. The case contains estimates of the time and effort required for Vandelay's ERP implementation. In the next slide, I show you a table that indicates consulting fees, salaries of the full-time team members, and pay for training time. When all these expenses and fees are combined, we see that total fees exceed the full project budget of $20 million. This leaves no money for trainers' salaries. Any part-time effort from Vandelay employees at any point in the project. Any new hardware, networking or telecommunications equipment or fees. Software costs, including license fees. On this slide, you have an assignment. Read the case and fill this table with the required information. You will need to calculate many figures. The point of these calculations is to understand how to scope an ERP implementation project such as this one. It is clear that the costs associated with Vandelay's implementation have been underestimated. The overruns will occur on the project, if it is completed. Overruns are the price to be paid for removing previous problems surfaced during a project. This exercise raises questions about cost and time overruns. First question is that why these overruns are so often a part of large implementations like Vandelay's. The second question is that why these overruns continue to be tolerated. One explanation is that companies begin ERP implementation efforts, such as this one, expecting that the project will take longer and cost more than what they estimated in the beginning. Companies also do this because they consider the experience to be one-time pain. They think that after ERP implementation, information systems and operations will run more smoothly. The expectation, especially with comprehensive information technologies like ERP, is that they will replace expensive, troublesome, and outdated systems with something that works much better. For this, many firms decide that they are worth the implementation headaches and costs. Kramer's first dilemma was plant manager's request for early training on R/3. The plant manager thought that training would enable tinkerers in his plant to begin experimentation with the ERP system and modify it to suit their needs. Kramer felt that one of the great benefits of ERP implementation was standardization around best practices. Both SAP and Deloitte had such best practices for each client. The best practice SF SAP were built into the R/3 software. Each of these can be executed in many different ways. So consultants like Deloitte set their preferred practices during the configuration activities. The ERP project team attempts to customize the best practices to make them fit for clients' unique needs. Still, we must not forget that these best practices are intended to be as standardized as possible both internally and across firms. ERP implementations proceed on the assumption that there is one best way to carry out most business processes. What clients get with an R/3 system is a bundle of these best practices. Since this is the model for installing and using R/3, a consultant would be very hesitant to allow any ideas about ERP implementation that may come from individual sites. Consider a situation where a plant of Vandelay Industries decides not to follow the standardized part numbering system mentioned in the case. Not only might this compromise the integrity of the single database, but it would also be tampering with a practice that was already optimized. Ideally, the consultants and project team would define the full set of to-be practices early in the implementation, then install them across sites. Kramer is aware that total process standardization will be unlikely at Vandelay. This is because the company has a strong tradition of plant autonomy and a culture of experimentation. Therefore, Kramer must decide when to enforce standard processes and when to allow variation. Some possible ground rules are: standardize only processes that create database entries. This will ensure that Vandelay sites and management will have visibility over all data in common formats. The case hints at this rule when we see that the discussion of common part numbers across plants. Ensure that the external interfaces that Vandelay presents to other firms, customers, suppliers, etc. are as consistent as possible. This means to standardize processes that face outward. This would take care of some of the concerns listed under Information Systems and Business Practices on pages 3 to 5 of the case. Ensure that both external and internal interfaces are as consistent as possible. This means to standardize two types of processes that involved another firm and processes that involved more than one site of Vandelay. This would take care of more of the situations listed in the case. Under this scenario, we would only seek ideas from thinkers about the processes that are totally internal to a site. Standardize as many best practices as possible, and do not allow sites to make changes to them. This means to only seek ideas from thinkers on R/3 processes that are considered peripheral. ERP team will then use these ideas and attempt to create the most uniform operations environment possible. Note that a peripheral process is a process that is not very important compared with other processes, best practices, re-engineering, and continuous improvement. Much of the Vandelay project will consist of implementing operations practices. The goal of the ERP project would be to get these practices running smoothly. In this sense, technology-enabled change is no different from previous clean sheet approaches to business process re-engineering. They are both attempts to move an organization from one set of routines to another. When seen this way, re-engineering around best practices has serious shortcomings as a strategy for operational improvement. It is explicitly not a continuous improvement effort but a one-time change project. Remember that re-engineering is a time of substantial change. New processes are put in place. Then there is a period during which the new processes are to be used but not altered. An organization can establish a program of periodically reviewing and updating these processes. Still, the basic strategy is not changed. Improvement under re-engineering does not come from continuous learning and refinement. Improvement comes from a series of small or large disturbances. The main capability that organization builds from successive re-engineering efforts is the ability of an operation to be changed in response to an external directive. An over-reliance on best practices creates problems. First, improvements will come from jumps. Second, improvements will also come from outside an operation. Vandelay's project team will include representatives from the involved sites. However, most employees will have no direct influence over the changes made to their jobs. The case states that Kramer has a preference for input by many, design by few. Whether the change occurs once or frequently, many people will be unhappy with this loss of control over how they perform their jobs. Therefore, Reengineering is a questionable improvement strategy for another reason. It ignores the fact that people are often the best sources of knowledge about improving their operations. People accept change much more willingly when they help define it. We have seen that Deloitte used technology-enabled change methodology for implementing ERP at Vandelay. Whether it will provide the company any competitive advantage over its rivals is unclear. The case states that Vandelay's foreign competitors offer simpler, less expensive machines, and that they have shorter lead times than the American company. Vandelay has responded by introducing lower price models. However, it appears that Vandelay still needs to learn to produce them more quickly. The ERP system may be able to help with this. As the case states, on page 3, the large part of total lead times were devoted to information processing and information transfer steps. This was partly because the computer systems used for fulfillment and production activities were either poorly integrated or completely incompatible. Use of R/3 can reduce overall lead times. R/3 software will probably be able to have a positive impact on lead times. Similarly, the practices that Deloitte and Vandelay develop and put in place are likely to be more efficient than existing ones. These practices will also help to reduce lead time. These improvements are likely to help Vandelay to gain edge over its rivals. An important question, though, is whether these advantages will be sustainable. Vandelay's competitors could presumably also purchase R/3 and implement it with the help of Deloitte or other consultants. They would thus have access to the same tools for operations, and for operations improvement, that Vandelay had. After the implementation, their practices would then be very similar to Vandelay's. However, it does not mean that these practices cannot differentiate a firm, or provide the basis for sustainable competitive advantage. If all competitors in an industry adopt a similar flavor or ERP, this could be the case. In this scenario, no operations practice controlled by the ERP system, no aspect of order fulfillment, production control, procurement, etc. can be exploited by any company. This is because the practices are all identical, or close to it. The ERP software is then not a source of advantage, but instead a great competitive leveler. Therefore, firms would have to look outside ERP processes for ways to distinguish themselves. Following is the summary of case analysis. 1. Technical aspects of ERP and R/3. Despite some drawbacks, ERP systems do offer substantial benefits in data integration and sharing, process orientation, and consistent user interface. 2. Project management considerations for Deloitte and Vandelay. The Vandelay project is seriously under-budgeted. The technology-enabled change approach to re-engineering promoted by Deloitte does have some advantages. However, the high levels of process standardization proposed are potentially dangerous. 3. Approaches to process standardization and best practices. Some level of process standardization is valuable, but too much can be harmful. Insisting on uniform best practices removes opportunities for improvement, and can lead to competitive leveling across an industry. 4. Competitive implications of technology-enabled change. Vandelay's competitors could presumably also purchase R/3 and implement similar best practices. The ERP software is then not a source of advantage, but instead a competitive leveler. The firms would have to look outside its processes for ways to distinguish themselves. Following are the assignment questions that you should be able to answer after the detailed case analysis. 1. Why has R/3 been so successful in the US? Why does it appear to be so far ahead of its competitors? 2. Why have so many re-engineering efforts been failures? Will technology-enabled change management help improve the success rate? 3. Why are consultants so often a part of ERP implementations? 4. Is the total project budget of $20 million reasonable for this engagement? What assumptions do you need to make to answer this question? 5. How do you improve best practices? 6. What are the major drawbacks that you see from undertaking an ERP implementation? Are there any drawbacks once the system is up and running? 7. If you were Elaine Kramer, what would your greatest worries be as you started this implementation? What about if you were the Vandelay CEO? 8. What competitive requirement does R/3 fulfill for Vandelay?